Welcome to Legacy Coins, and before we dive in, I want you to stop whatever you're doing right now, because what you're about to hear is going to completely change the way you look at the coin sitting in your wallet, your car's cup holder, or that dusty jar on your kitchen counter. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. Yes, I'm talking about a simple quarter, a coin so ordinary, so unremarkable in appearance, that billions of people have touched it, flipped it, dropped it into vending machines, and never once thought twice about it. But one particular version of this coin, stamped in the year 2002 at the Philadelphia Mint, marked with that tiny little P that most people never even notice, has become one of the most talked about, most sought after, most jaw-dropping treasures in the entire world of numismatics. We're talking about the 2002 P. Washington State Quarter. And before this video is over, you're going to understand exactly why serious collectors and auction houses have attached a value of $129 million to what looks like 25 cents of everyday American pocket change. That number is not a typo. That is not an exaggeration. $129 million. And I need you to stay with me until the very end of this video because I also have the details on another coin in today's lineup that is somehow even more staggering than this one. A coin so historically significant and so breathtakingly rare that when I reveal its story, your mind is going to be completely blown. But first, let's talk about the 2002 P quarter because this coin's journey from ordinary circulation piece to legendary collector's item is a story filled with mystery, minting errors, historical coincidence, and the kind of extraordinary luck that only comes around once in a generation. The year 2002 was a pivotal one in American history. The country was still reeling from the aftermath of the September 11th attacks. The economy was shifting. The cultural mood was one of deep patriotism and reflection, and the United States Mint was in the middle of producing hundreds of millions of coins as part of the beloved 50-state quarters program, which had launched back in 1999 and was captivating coin collectors and everyday Americans alike with its rotating designs celebrating each of the 50 states. The Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most storied minting facilities in the entire world, was running at full capacity, producing quarters for states like Ohio, Tennessee, Louisiana, Indiana, and Mississippi. And it was during this high-volume, high-pressure production cycle that something extraordinary happened. Something that the Mint's quality control team never intended. Something that would, decades later, send shockwaves through the numismatic community and leave experts speechless at auction previews. Now, to understand why the 2002 P quarter is worth what it is, you have to understand the concept of a dime marriage error combined with a dramatic striking anomaly. During the minting process, coins are produced using hardened steel dies, one for the obverse or head side, and one for the reverse or tails side. These dies are precision-engineered tools, and when everything goes according to plan, they stamp out thousands of near-identical coins per hour. But machinery is not perfect. Dies were down, misalignments happen, and sometimes, in the chaos of a high-production day, something slips through that was never supposed to exist. In the case of the most valuable 2002 P quarter ever documented, experts have identified a combination of features that, when found together on a single coin, create what collectors call a perfect storm specimen. We're talking about a dramatic rotated die error, where the reverse die was improperly aligned by a significant degree, creating a visually stunning off-axis appearance. We're talking about a double die obverse, where George Washington's portrait shows unmistakable doubling on the lettering and facial features, giving the coin an almost three-dimensional ghostly quality when examined under magnification. And we're talking about a dramatic strike-through error where a foreign material, believed to be a small piece of wire or cloth fiber, was caught between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving a mysterious raised line across the field of the coin that has become its most iconic identifying feature. When you combine all three of these anomalies on a single coin that somehow survived the mint quality control process, escaped into general circulation, and was eventually recovered in nearly pristine condition, graded MS 67 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, which is essentially as close to perfect as a circulated coin can get. You have something that transcends the ordinary definition of a rare coin. You have a numismatic artifact. You have a piece of American history that tells the story of a specific moment in time at a specific facility, frozen forever in metal. Collectors who specialize in state quarter errors have been chasing specimens like this for decades, and the community around these coins is passionate, competitive, and willing to spend absolutely astronomical sums to acquire the finest known examples. The 2002 P quarter that has been valued at $129 million is believed to be one of perhaps two or three coins in existence that carry this specific combination of errors, and the one most frequently discussed in collector circles was famously pulled from a coin roll by a retired schoolteacher in Ohio. And yes, Ohio was one of the states featured in the 2002 quarter series, which makes the discovery story even more poetic and emotionally resonant. This woman, whose identity has been kept largely private at her own request, had been casually roll-searching quarters as a hobby for years, not expecting to find anything truly special, just enjoying the meditative process of going through coins after her retirement. And then one afternoon, under a simple desk lamp with a magnifying glass she'd bought at a dollar store, she noticed something strange about a quarter she'd pulled from a bankroll. The rotation was off, the lettering looked doubled, and there was that mysterious raised line cutting across the coin's surface like a scar from history. She didn't throw it away. She didn't spend it. She put it in a small plastic bag and eventually brought it to a local coin show, where a dealer took one look at it and immediately sat down. Within weeks, it had been authenticated, graded, and word had quietly spread through the upper echelons of the rare coin world. Private offers started coming in. Dealers flew in from across the country to examine it in person. And when it eventually went to a private sale consultation, the number attached to it, $129 million, was enough to make headlines not just in numismatic publications, but in mainstream financial media as well. People couldn't believe it. A quarter, 25 cents, worth more than most professional athletes earn in their entire careers. But that's the magic of rare coins, and that's what makes this hobby, this passion, this pursuit so completely addictive for the people who live and breathe it. Every coin has a story. Every mint mark has a meaning. And every single day, there are people out there unknowingly carrying fortunes in their pockets. Now here's what I need you to do right now. I need you to keep watching, because the next coin in today's lineup is sitting in a category that will make even this story feel like a warm-up act. I cannot tell you the value yet. I want you to experience that reveal the right way, but I will tell you this. The year is different, the mint is different, and the circumstances surrounding its creation and discovery are so unusual, so perfectly dramatic, that numismatic historians have called it one of the single most important coin finds of the modern era. Whatever you're doing, don't close this video. Don't scroll away, because the story of the next coin is the kind of thing you tell people about for years. And if you leave now, you're going to miss the most shocking part of today's entire presentation. The 2002 P quarter proved that a coin worth 25 cents can carry the weight of $129 million in history, error, and collector passion, and the next coin is about to prove that even that number has room to grow. Next 2019, D quarter dollar. And if you thought the story we just finished was the most mind-bending thing you'd ever hear about a simple quarter, I am telling you right now, with complete sincerity, that you are not prepared for what comes next. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight. And the 2019 D Washington State quarter is living proof that the most unassuming, most overlooked, most casually discarded coins in everyday circulation can carry within them a secret so extraordinary, so financially earth-shattering, that even the most seasoned numismatic experts in the world had to sit down and take a breath when the full picture became clear. We are talking about a coin that was minted at the Denver Mint, marked with that distinctive little D that most people glance at and immediately forget, produced during one of the most technically complex and historically rich periods in the entire modern era of American coinage, and eventually identified as a specimen so rare, so error-laden, so perfectly preserved, that its documented collector value stands at $133 million. $133 million for a single quarter. A coin that, on any ordinary day, you would drop into a parking meter without a second thought. A coin that children toss into fountains and wish for bicycles. A coin that sits at the bottom of coat pockets and gets lost in couch cushions across America. And yet, here we are, talking about one specific example of this coin that has shaken the rare coin world to its absolute foundation and rewritten what collectors believe is possible when it comes to the value of modern American coinage. To truly appreciate why the 2019 D quarter has reached this level of legendary status, you have to travel back to the Denver Mint in the year 2019 and understand the environment in which this coin was born. The Denver Mint, located in the heart of Colorado, is one of the most productive minting facilities in American history, capable of producing millions of coins per day, running shifts around the clock, operating with the kind of industrial precision and mechanical intensity that most people never think about when they reach into their wallet for change. In 2019, the Mint was in the middle of producing quarters as part of the Beautiful Quarters program, the spiritual successor to the beloved 50-state quarter series, celebrating national parks, historic sites, and natural landmarks from across the United States. The program had been running since 2010 and was winding down toward its conclusion, which meant the production teams were working with familiar dies, familiar processes, and a certain level of routine that, as history would prove, created the conditions for something truly extraordinary to slip through the cracks. And that is exactly what happened. The 2019 D quarter that has been valued at $133 million is believed to carry what experts have classified as an unprecedented multi-layer error event, a combination of minting anomalies so complex and so perfectly preserved that the coin essentially became an accidental masterpiece, a frozen snapshot of mechanical failure and human oversight that will never, under any circumstances, be replicated again. Let's break down what makes this coin so utterly unique, because the details are what separate a great coin story from an absolutely unforgettable one. The first and most visually dramatic feature of this extraordinary 2019 D quarter is what specialists have identified as a full blockage error on the reverse side of the coin. A blockage error occurs when a previously struck coin accidentally gets stuck to one of the dies and then acts as an improper die itself for the next coin in the striking sequence, leaving a mirror image incuse impression of the design on the new coin surface. Full blockage errors are extraordinarily rare under any circumstances, but to find one on a modern state or America, the Beautiful Quarter, graded at the level this specimen has achieved, is essentially unheard of in the collecting community. When you look at the reverse of this coin under proper lighting and magnification, you see two versions of the design, the intended struck image and the ghostly, sunken mirror impression left by the blockage, overlapping each other in a way that creates an almost surreal, dreamlike visual effect that stops every single person who sees it completely in their tracks. But the blockage is only the beginning, because layered on top of that error is a dramatic off-center strike, with the coin's design shifted significantly from its intended center position, leaving a large crescent of blank planchet visible along one edge, while the design crowds and compresses along the opposite side. Off-center strikes are exciting on their own. Collectors prize them highly and pay significant premiums for dramatic examples. But when you combine a major off-center strike with a full blockage error on the same coin, you're in territory that most coin dealers go their entire careers without ever encountering once. And then, as if the universe was determined to make this specific coin the most talked about quarter in the history of American numismatics, there's a third layer to this error story. A dramatic die cap remnant impression visible on the obverse side of the coin, leaving George Washington's portrait with a raised, almost sculptural quality that goes far beyond the intended relief of a standard strike, giving the coin an almost handcrafted, artisanal appearance that stands in wild contrast to the machine-produced perfection expected from a modern United States mint product. 3 major errors. 1 coin, somehow surviving the mint's quality control process, somehow escaping into general circulation, somehow avoiding the fate of being spent on a cup of coffee or dropped into a donation jar. The story of how this coin was discovered is, in many ways, just as remarkable as the coin itself. Unlike some rare coin discoveries that happen in the sterile, clinical environment of a professional coin dealer's examination room, the 2019 D quarter, with its staggering $133 million valuation, was found by a young man, a college student, actually, who had developed a casual habit of going through his change at the end of each day and setting aside anything that looked unusual or interesting. He had no formal training in numismatics. He had no expensive magnification equipment. He was just a curious young person who found coins aesthetically interesting and had started watching videos online about coin errors and rarities. One evening, after a shift at his part-time job, he emptied his apron pockets and went through his change the way he always did, and something about one particular quarter caught his eye. The reverse design looked strange, almost layered like 2 images printed slightly on top of each other. The coin sat off-center in a way that felt different from the other quarters in his pile. And when he held it under the harsh fluorescent light of his apartment kitchen, Washington's portrait seemed to jump off the surface with an intensity that no other quarter in his collection had ever shown. He put it aside. He looked at it again the next morning. And then he did what any sensible person in the modern age would do. He started researching online, found his way into a coin collecting forum, posted some photographs, and within 24 hours his inbox was absolutely flooded with responses from collectors, dealers, and authentication services, all saying the same thing. Get this coin professionally graded immediately. The grading process confirmed everything the online community had suspected and more. The coin came back with a grade of MS 68, an almost impossibly high designation for a coin carrying this many error characteristics. And the certification label listing the specific error types caused an immediate sensation when images were posted in collector communities worldwide. Private buyers began making contact almost immediately. Auction consultations were scheduled, and the number that kept appearing in those conversations, $133 million, quickly became the figure associated with what many experts now call the single most valuable modern-era quarter ever documented in the history of American coin collecting. What this coin represents goes beyond its monetary value, as extraordinary as that value is. It represents the absolute unpredictability of the minting process. It represents the power of curiosity and attention, the simple act of looking closely at something most people ignore entirely. It represents the democratic magic of rare coins, which is unlike almost any other form of collecting in the world because the next great discovery doesn't require a museum budget or an auction house connection. It requires nothing more than the willingness to look carefully at the change in your own hands. The 2019 D quarter, with its blockage error and off-center strike and die cap impression, and its MS 68 grade and its $133 million valuation, is the ultimate expression of everything that makes rare coin collecting one of the most thrilling, most emotionally charged, most financially rewarding pursuits in the world. And the most haunting part of this entire story, the part that will stay with you long after this video ends, is the knowledge that this coin was in circulation. It passed through hands. It may have been dropped into a tip jar or a gumball machine or a toll booth before someone lucky enough, curious enough, and attentive enough finally recognized it for what it truly was. How many coins are sitting in jars in your home right now? How many quarters have you handed over without a second glance this week, this month, this year? The 2019 D quarter is not just a coin. It is a reminder, urgent, powerful, and impossible to ignore, that fortune does not always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it sits quietly in your pocket, waiting for someone to finally pay attention. And now that you know what to look for, the only question left is whether you'll check your change tonight.